This is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Today I have a very special treat for you. We're going to do what I like to call a juice off. And a juice off is simply when I use two different juicers to juice the same amount of produce to see which juicer will reign supreme and yield more juice. Now, yield is only one factor that you may want to consider when buying a juicer. So yield is literally how much juice the juicer makes when the produce is put into it. And every juicer, depending on the kind of juicer it is and what you're juicing, will yield either more or less than other juicers on the market. But once again, that is only one criteria, the yield criteria. Another criteria that may be important to you is nutrition. Hey John, how much nutrition is in the juice I'm making? High-speed juicers generally make a juice that's lower in nutrition than low-speed juicers. Today we're using the Omega Vert 330HD and the Omega 8004 Nutrition Center. Both these machines run at 80 RPMs. And because both these machines run at 80 RPMs, they're considered low RPM juicers, so they preserve the highest amount of nutrition in the juice. Although one negative aspect to these low RPM machines is because they do turn at a low RPM or 80 RPMs or revolutions per minute, that means juicing might take you a little bit longer than machines that run at 10,000 RPMs per minute, but then you're going to get a lower quality juice in those. So there's trade-offs with every juicer. So my job is to show you guys what juicer is going to do the best for you on different produce items. So now I have over 200 videos on YouTube explaining the different juicers and juicing different things in each of the juicers and comparing them side by side so that you can watch my videos and see, oh, you know, I want to juice a lot of pineapple. You can see which one yields more in pineapple. You could see which juicer yields more when juicing carrots. You could see how loud each juicer is. You could see all the different factors that you may want to consider. Another big factor that you should consider before buying a juicer is how long does a juicer take to clean. I'm proud to say that both these juicers are very easy to clean, and this juicer on this side is actually the easiest juicer that I have found in the world to clean. This one takes me about a minute and a half. I clean fast like I talk fast, but so it may take you like 2 or 3 minutes. But this machine takes me about 3 minutes, so still 3 minutes is not that long. And you know, there's juicers that also take a lot longer time. The main part to clean on any juicer is the juicing screen. The screen is where the juice comes through, and the screen is a part that often gets clogged up with produce and pulp in it that you'll need to scrub with included cleaning brushes. So both these machines come with included cleaning brushes. Some actually juicers do not, so I'd recommend you purchase a nylon bristle brush like a dish brush to scrub out your juicing screens. So without further ado, let's get into our juice off and juice these pineapples. So once again, these are organic pineapples, and you know, I don't recommend juicing the tops, so what I like to do is just spin the tops off. They come right off. You can take them off. We're gonna go ahead and spin this one off, right off, no problem. Now, the thing you want to remember with pineapples is that you can and should be juicing the skin. How many times have you heard when you were a kid, you know, hey, eat the apple skin, there's more nutrition in the apple skin than the apples? Well, that's the same thing with pineapples. There is nutrition in the skin, but I only recommend that you juice them if they are organic pineapples. Otherwise, they may be sprayed with fungicides and other things that you might not want to be consuming. So if I do have non-organic pineapples, I will actually cut the skin away and not juice them. So these are organic pineapples. I've given these a good wash. We're gonna cut them up and juice them in 1 second. But before I do, the reason why I like to juice pineapples is for one important reason. Oftentimes when I'll buy a pineapple, I'll cut it open and I'll start eating it. And you know, maybe about the first few bites of pineapple is fine, but at a certain point, pineapples can be very acidic and they'll actually burn your mouth. And sometimes if you eat enough pineapple, it could actually lacerate and cut your mouth. And you'll be bleeding because of the pineapple is so acidic and sharp, and there's some fibers in there that really kind of do this to you. But when you juice pineapples, and even if they're not optimally ripe, I don't get any of that effect, and I can get the nutrition from the pineapple minus the fiber in a glass of juice. And oh my gosh, if you've never tasted fresh pineapple juice, you've got another thing coming. It's just so delicious, and it tastes nothing like that canned stuff that you buy in the store. Now that canned stuff, it has been pasteurized, so when a food has been pasteurized and is shelf stable, it loses some of the nutrition and all the enzymes in there. So by juicing pineapples fresh in your home, you're going to be assured the highest quality nutrition. Now, one of the reasons why I like juicing pineapples are because it's high in vitamin C, which is basically antioxidants, so it's good for us to fight off free radical damage. Another reason I like pineapples is it's high in manganese, which is a mineral which is important for us to have and include in our diet. And the main reason why I like pineapples is because it contains an enzyme called bromelain, which is actually present in the stem and the core of the pineapple. So make sure when you're juicing your pineapple to juice that core, because that's where a lot of the bromelain or this enzyme is contained. Now normally when you eat pineapple, you wouldn't necessarily eat the core because that's the hard part and it's just chewy, doesn't taste sweet, and it's really fibrous. But when you juice it, you're going to liberate that bromelain, that really powerful enzyme, into your juice, and then you're going to get the benefit of it when you're drinking the fresh juice. Now bromelain has been shown that it can help things like inflammation in your body. So definitely a natural anti-inflammatory, bromelain in the pineapples. Without further ado, let's get juicing. We're going to go ahead and use the Omega Vert 330HD juicer first. The first thing I'd like to point out is both these machines are single auger juicers. And the Omega Vert 330HD is a vertical single auger juicer, which means the augers going up and down. And the 8004 machine is a horizontal auger, so the auger is going horizontally. And so in the same respect, this machine has a larger feed chute. I'll go ahead and show you guys. So it's this big, so we need to cut the pineapple into this size so that it can fit into the feed chute of this machine. On the Omega 8004, one of the negatives is the smaller feed chute size. It's a small circle instead of a large like crescent type shape. Actually, it's almost like maybe twice as big on the Omega Vert. So what does that do for you? Well, basically that means less cutting to feed the produce items into the machine. Also, as you will see in a second, the Omega Vert juicer is pretty much self-feeding. You really shouldn't be using the pusher to push produce in the Omega Vert. The pusher is only here to basically unjam it in case something gets jammed up. Now on the Omega 8004 Nutrition Center, we will need to push each and every piece of produce into the machine to get it fed in, because it is really not auto feeding like the Omega Vert is. So let's go ahead and start juicing. We're going to turn this Omega Vert on. Now this runs at a low 80 RPMs. One of the reasons why I like both these machines is that they're rather silent and they really aren't that loud. So if you have to juice early in the morning when your family or roommates are asleep, you won't wake them up like with a high-speed juicer. One time a customer wrote in and said, "Hey John, my juicer sounds like an airplane taking off in my kitchen." Well, that was one of the 10,000 RPM juicers that run really fast. The faster the RPM, the louder it is, and the more it oxidizes your juice, so it creates a lesser quality juice. That being said, check my other videos for videos comparing like these style machines versus those kind of machines. Each juicer has its pros and cons, and I want you guys to pick the right juicer that's going to work best for what you want to juice. So let's go ahead and turn this one on. Nice and quiet. We're just going to take our knife, cut this pineapple right in half. And I want to mention that pineapple selection in the store is very important. So when you're selecting a pineapple to juice in the store, you want to get one that's nice and firm. You don't want to get one that's soft and mushy. If it's soft and mushy, it's not going to juice as well as if it's nice and firm. So you can see here we put that in and it pretty much self-fed into the machine. We're going to cut these pieces so that they could easily drop into the machine. We can literally just drop it in. The machine comes around and takes off a chunk of the pineapple and continues to juice it. So we're going to go ahead and drop that piece in now. Real simple, real easy. This is why I like the Omega Vert juicer for juicing, because it's self-feeding. All you got to do is worry about cutting it up, and as you're cutting it, you know, you could drop it in the machine and it's going to juice it for you automatically. Now it's really important, you want to get some piece of skin on every piece of produce that goes into the Omega Vert juicer. Now the skin is actually really fibrous, and the fiber helps push the produce through the machine so that it could juice, get the optimal amount of juice out. Now if you're juicing softer things in the Omega Vert juicer, it does tend not to work too well, so you should always juice that with some fiber. Now if I was to peel the skin on this pineapple, what I would do is I'd make sure that at least one piece of core went in with each piece of pineapple, or at least every other piece of pineapple. And I have another video juicing pineapple in the Vert where I more fully explain this. Alright, so we're over halfway done juicing pineapple in the Omega Vert 330HD. It's nice and silent, working really well. And this is going to be some absolutely delicious pineapple juice. Nothing better than pineapple juice on a hot summer day. a taste of the tropics in your own home. So that was the last piece of pineapple in the Omega Vert 330 HD juicer. So the only difference between the Omega Vert 330 and the Omega Vert 330 HD is the screen that's included with the machine. The Omega Vert 330 HD includes the heavy duty screen, which is 8 times harder than the non-HD version. Both juicers are great and they should work for a long time. They both have a 10-year warranty, but if you're into heavy duty juicing and probably gonna juice every day, you definitely wanna go with the HD model. So next, let's get juicing in the Omega 8004 Nutrition Center. We're gonna turn this machine off. Looks like it's done juicing, and we're gonna start cutting this pineapple up. First, we're gonna cut it in half. Then we're gonna go ahead and cut it in quarters, and then we're gonna have to cut it even smaller because once again, that feed chute is a bit smaller on the Omega 8004. So let's go ahead and turn this machine on. It's on. It's also fairly quiet. We could drop a piece in there and you can see it's not quite self-feeding. Well, it kind of does. Let's go ahead. Now we got to cut these pieces a bunch smaller to fit in the feed chute. So, you know, that can take you more time. But it's self-feeding actually if you cut it small enough, so that's kind of nice. Oh, now it's not quite self-feeding, so we're going to have to use a pusher. And it doesn't take a lot of force to push this down. Just put a little bit of weight on it and it'll feed it right in the machine. Now, once again, when using both these machines, you don't want to like cram the stuff in there as fast as you can get it in. Take your time, slow down, breathe when you're juicing, you know, because juicing takes some time. If you're trying to cram stuff through the juicers too quickly, it's not going to work and it's going to actually hinder your yields instead of increase it. So we're going to go ahead and continue to cut up this pineapple and feed it in the machine. Now, it definitely will take a little bit longer to juice this pineapple in this machine because we do have to cut it in smaller pieces and use the pusher. Now, will we get a higher yield with this machine over the Omega Vert? I don't know, but we will soon find out. So in general, I don't necessarily recommend that you juice your fruits. I recommend that you eat your fruits whole or blend them up. Now, why would I say that? And I would only say that because, in my opinion, you know, there's a reason for eating the fruits whole or blending them, because when you're eating them whole or blending them, you're getting the fruit with the juice and the fiber. And when you juice them, what you do is you separate the juice from the fiber. And when you do this, it's like you're gonna get a sugar rush because all the fruit, the juice has a lot of sugar, and the fiber is what is there in the fruit to basically slow down the absorption of the sugar in our body. Now, of course, a fresh made fruit juice out of your own juicer is better than a canned or bottled juice from the store, and it's way better than a soda or pop or some other beverage, but it's not as good as eating them whole or blending them. So my preference with pineapple is sometimes I'll make a pineapple smoothie and blend it up, and actually it's quite good that way. So this piece is not going to quite fit in the machine, so we're going to have to cut it up smaller. And that's the reason why in most cases I like to juice pineapples in the Omega Vert, because it just goes faster and it's a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and continue juicing the pineapples in the Omega 8004. Now, the advantage to using the Omega 8004 really comes when you want to juice leafy greens. While you can juice leafy greens in the Omega Vert juicer, leafy greens are actually better juiced in the Omega 8004. So like I said earlier, you know, certain juicers are better for juicing certain things. So for example, if you're going to go to a wedding, you're not going to wear a bathing suit to a wedding, and if you're going to the beach, you're not going to wear a tuxedo or a nice formal dress. You want to dress appropriate, and just like when you're choosing a juicer to buy, you want to select the appropriate juicer for what you want to juice most. So if you want to juice a lot of pineapple and you don't want to be hassled with, you know, sitting and pushing in every piece, you might want to go with this machine. But on the other hand, if you want to juice a lot of leafy greens and straight up leafy greens, then you might want to go with a machine like the Omega 8004 or its big brother, the Omega 8006, which is identical to this machine except the color is different. The 8006 has a chrome plated plastic and this is a white plastic. All right, last piece of pineapple finally going in to the Omega 8004 Nutrition Center. So we're gonna let that sit and run a while and then check the results. While we're letting this run, we could check the pulp over here, and you could see, I mean, the juicer has reduced that pineapple into two things. Number one, the juice, and number two, the fibrous pulp. Wow, man, this fibrous pulp is really dry. Smells kind of like pineapple, but you know, there's not much you could do with this. Put it in your compost bin or feed it to your worms. They'll actually love it. So let's go ahead and turn this machine off and take a look at the pulp over here that the Omega 8004 Nutrition Center created. I mean, the pulp looks pretty similar. It's all broken up really well into just literally pulp. There's not a lot of juice you could squeeze out of here. So that's definitely really good. Both these machines have been very effective juicing these pineapples. So let's go ahead and compare the results now. So this is the juice from the Omega 8004 Nutrition Center, and this is the juice from the Omega Vert 330 HD. So this is very tough to call. It's very close, and you can see here the Omega Vert 330 HD made this juice. It's about 2 1/4 cups with a nice head on it, and the Omega 8004 made about 2 1/4 cups with less head on it. So it's very hard to tell which juicer reigned supreme in this test. I've been looking at this very closely here, and if I had to say one yielded more than the other, I'd say the Omega 8004 yielded like that much more than the Omega Vert. Not much, because there is also, you know, a lot of foam that was generated. Now, foam is normal. Juicers will produce foam in the process of juicing, depending on what you're juicing, and the juice you're using will result in how much foam you get. So it's always a little bit different. Is foam bad? It's absolutely not. You can mix it in and stir it in, drink it up with your juice. If you don't like it, you know, ladle it off with a spoon. It's personal preference if you want to drink it or not. So in this test, really hard to call. If I had to pick one, the 8004 wins in yield by that much. But then you got to ask yourself, is that much more in yield worth the additional cutting and pressing the produce into the machine and all that? I don't know. I'd still prefer the Omega Vert 330 HD for juicing my pineapples. Next, let's go ahead and taste this delicious pineapple juice with the peel and all. That's nice, delicious, and refreshing. Let me go ahead and taste this one. Aha! I now have noticed the difference between the juices. So the Omega 8004 Nutrition Center made a juice that's more pulpy, that has more pulp or more fluff in the juice, whereas the Omega Vert 330 HD made more of a pure juice with less pulp in it, juicing pineapples. So when juicing other things, your results may vary. So that's something also to consider. Maybe the yield was because of there's more fiber in the juice than on the Omega Vert. So although the Omega 8004 made a little bit more yield, my choice, if you want to juice pineapple, is still the Omega Vert 330 HD. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode learning more about juicing pineapples in both these Omega single auger juicers. Once again, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.